an influential alliance of business leaders providing policy directions to government and ensuring sustained economic development. This is the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. On April 19, 1886, three of the largest Spanish companies in Manila formed the Cámara de Comercio de Filipinas. Following the downfall of the colonial Spanish government, the popularity of La Cámara waned, and a new organization of Filipino and Chinese mestizo businessmen established the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, CCP, in 1903. Barely half a century after, a group of industrialists founded the Philippine Chamber of Industries, PCI. On July 1, 1978, the two chambers merged, giving birth to the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, PCCI. In September of the same year, PCCI was recognized as the country's single voice of business through Presidential Letter of Instruction 780. After more than a century, the Chamber continues to chart the course of economic development in the country. Lending its voice to the government, PCCI continues to be at the forefront to influence public policies in the areas of agriculture and food security, banking and finance, capital market development, energy and power, water utilities, environment, formal and technical vocational education, infrastructure development, intellectual property and innovation, international trade, local economic development, taxation, SME support services, tourism, and transportation and logistics. Covering business comprehensively to ensure the business expansion and country's future growth and progression through its partnership with the government, local chambers, and other stakeholders. PCCI's programs and services include enhancing business environment, SME development, environmental protection and management, corporate social responsibility, national and countryside development, business services, access to local and international training programs and scholarships, publications, breaking grounds with pioneering minds. PCCI is a dynamic force that offers its members fresh new ideas, new choices, and creative new approaches. From only a handful before the turn of the century, the PCCI family has grown to more than 1,600 direct members, more than 100 industry associations, more than 100 local chambers, and around 35,000 SMEs nationwide. To ensure alignment of its advocacies and activities, the PCCI works closely with government, other business groups, donor organizations, and international agencies, as well as the academe. The PCCI also provides a platform that links local firms with the global business community. PCCI also engages foreign chambers, diplomatic corps, international agencies in search of broader trade and economic cooperation. The Philippine Business Conference and Expo is the most important annual activity of the PCCI and one of the most prestigious events in the country. Local and foreign companies wanting to establish new ventures or seeking new markets find it highly attractive to attend due to the many benefits it offers. Every year, more than 800 stakeholders attend the conference, composed of key government officials, business leaders, diplomatic corps, foreign chambers, multilateral donor agencies, PCCI corporate members, bilateral business councils, local chamber and industry association leaders. With resourcefulness, ingenuity, collective ideas, and strength, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry remains steadfast in its principles of business growth and development. Pioneering, innovating, and trailblazing. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry will remain as that. One voice of business in the country.
Our country has encountered several incidents. We have learned from our past.
We cannot prevent the disasters from happening, but we can mitigate their effects on our people.
The government has a well-defined and in-place response system. During disaster response, the DND plays a big role through the Secretary of National Defense, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the Office of Civil Defense. You can see here the Operation Center. It is a platform for coordination among different agencies involved in disaster response, and this was equipped in the year 2017. And we are building more of this kind of facilities. The DND has two bureaus that it can rely on for disaster response. First is the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is always at the forefront of disaster management.
Whenever there's a disaster, they are the ones that are already prepared even before an event happens.
The OCD, meanwhile, has the overall implementing arm and coordinator of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council.
The work of the NDRRMC is actually 24 hours a day monitoring what disasters will strike in the part of the country.
The role of the Armed Forces of the Philippines during disasters is to assist the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. It is deployed anywhere in the Philippines to provide technical level search and rescue and retrieval operations. We train for water search and rescue, collapsed structure search and rescue, high-angle search and rescue, emergency medical services, and hazardous materials.
Our servicing capability to our people has improved as well, in the sense that we have seen the steady reduction of casualties. We learn to be more proactive. We prepare earlier. We prepare our people earlier. They have been improving in all these years. The professionalism, the character of our workforce, the civil defense staff cannot be oversimplified.
everybody was preparing for 2020.
Business was actually very stable and very good.
March 15, nagko-contract signing pa ako. So, ang happy-happy namin. Then, nag-lockdown siya. Wala na kaming magawa.
Nandyan na nga, balik sa simula.
We're supposed to have celebrated our 36 years, but because of the pandemic.
Dumarating na yung mga questions that you need answers on how to continue the business.
Tumigil yung oras. Parang tumigil yung mundo.
Nandyan ka, may pag-asa, dahan-dahan, sabay-sabay. Ano mang pagsubok ng buhay, dahan-dahan tayo ay muling babangon. Tuloy-tuloy ang tulong, sabay din tayo muling susulong. Pwede pang mangarap ng bagong araw.
We see this crisis as a very challenging one, but it's something that we have to persevere.
As entrepreneur, we have to be strong. My team has families also.
It took us a while to realize na kailangan lumaban na kailangan may gawin.
Konti-konti ulit para kami nag-uumpisa.
Well, I'm not going to be part of that 40% that will not survive, and that's it.
There's still a drop of life left in Maxi Mango, then I'm gonna hold on to that and I'm gonna keep it alive.
Basta't nandyan ka, may pag-asa, dahan-dahan, sabay-sabay.
Kaya gusto ko mag-reopen kasi nakita ko yung empowerment na nagawa nitong negosyong to.
Our clients are still there and we are still wanted.
But we're adjusting.
Sabay din tayo muling susulong.
Na may customer nga na pumasok sa store, even just buying one mask na 35 pesos, it's like we dance for joy.
Yung namimiss mo yung nag-umpisa ka na, sana may bumili ng tinda ko, yun yung nafe-feel ko nung time na yon. Parang back to basic ako.
Doon mo mafe-feel na, okay, may pag-asa pala.
Sama ka, pwede pang
For the sake of the Filipinos, we just have to give it a fight, di ba?
But we are so positive that we will bounce back. Kailangan nating talunin tong pandemic na to.
Welcome to Ate Rica's Baksilog. We are now cooking.
Balik na mo, abli na mi.
True Blends and Shops to Go are now open.
mula noon lalo ngayon.
Laging mainit at laging masarap pa rin ang vodka. Tuloy po kayo.
Nail It is open. Tuloy na po kayo.
Tuloy po kayo. Welcome mga suki.
Pwede pang
Kilalanin natin sila Juan at Feli ng Barangay Di Matinag. Noong nagsimulang kumalat ang COVID-19, napaisip si Feli.
Sabi sa balita na 2 linggo lang daw ang lockdown dahil sa COVID-19. Pero, paano kung magtagal pa to? Anong mangyayari sa negosyo ko? Kailangan kong maghanda at magplano para sa aking negosyo.
Dahil dito, nag-strategize sila Feli at ang kanyang management team. Pinagplanuhan nila ang mga dapat gawin bago, habang, at pagkatapos ng isang sakuna o emergency. At naghanda rin sila ng go bags.
Kailangan din natin gumawa ng action plan para masigurado ang workplace safety at employee safety.
Tama, ma'am! At patuloy nilang pinagplanuhan ito. Pagkatapos, in-implement nila ito sa negosyo. Ano naman ang ginawang paghahanda ni Juan para sa kanyang negosyo? Noong nabalitaan ni Juan na may pandemya, chill lang siya at sinabi niyang, "Ay nako, sa 2 dekada ko ng pagnenegosyo, lahat ng sakuna nalagpasan ko. COVID? Wala lang yan." Sa kabila ng mga warnings ng WHO at gobyerno, kampante pa rin si Juan na hindi tatabla ng COVID-19 o kaya ng kahit anong sakuna ang kanyang negosyo. Dahil walang bumabagsak na negosyo sa barangay Di Matinag, sabi niya. At nagpatuloy ang buhay nang walang ginawang paghahanda si Juan. At patuloy nang kumalat ang epekto ng COVID-19 sa buong mundo. Hindi lang sa kalusugan, pati na rin sa pangkabuhayan at sambahayan. Hindi lang yan, hinagupit din ng matinding bagyo ang barangay Di Matinag. Tignan natin ang naging epekto nito kila Feli at Juan. Hindi naka-adjust ang negosyo ni Juan sa epekto ng pandemya at bagyo. Dahil sa kakulangan ng plano, nasalanta ng bagyo ang negosyo ni Juan at inanod ang kanyang kasangkapan. Nawalan tuloy ng source of income si Juan, pati na rin ang kanyang mga empleyado. Sa kabila ng lahat, hindi pa rin kumbinsido si Juan na COVID-19 o kakulangan sa pagpaplano ang sanhi ng mga nangyayari sa kanyang buhay. Kahit na may available na suporta mula sa gobyerno tulad ng loans at livelihood programs, ayaw itong tanggapin ni Juan dahil malas lang talaga ako ngayong 2020. Sabi sa horoscope, babawi ako sa 2021. Balikan naman natin si Feli. Sa kabila ng pandemya at matinding bagyo, nanatiling matatag ang negosyo ni Feli. Sa katunayan, nakagawa siya ng paraan para mas kumita ang kanyang negosyo sa panahon ng pandemya. Dahil sa paghahandang ginawa ni Feli, naging inspirasyon siya ng mga taga-barangay Di Matinag. Eventually, nalaman ni Juan ang success story ni Feli. Feli, pwede mo ba akong tulungan? Ano bang pwede kong gawin para malagpasan ng negosyo ko ang negatibong epekto ng COVID-19?
Oh, Juan! Mabuti naman at humingi ka ng tulong. Samahan na rin kita sa barangay dahil merong programa doon na makakatulong sa'yo. Bukod dyan, may mga online courses at mentorship opportunities din na makakatulong sa'yo.
Salamat, Feli. Negosyong handa, negosyong matibay. Pumunta sa iAdapt at sikap MSME Recovery Hub para malaman kung paano gumawa ng business continuity plan.
Alright. Isa pong maulan at ligtas na hapon sa lahat. Welcome to the 2021 MSME Resilience E-Forum. So my name is Earl Patrick Panabella. I am from the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, or PDRF.
Magandang hapon din sa lahat. My name is Camille Raylim, also from PDRF, and we'll be your hosts for this event. So after that wonderful marathon of videos, I think I binged watched enough to match the theme for this year's virtual forum, which is Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, and Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy.
The MSME Resilience Core Group, co-chaired by the DTI and the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or PCCI, together with its public and private partners, are reinforcing their commitment to strengthening MSME disaster resilience in the Philippines.
Right. So why have we gathered here on this rainy afternoon? We have three key objectives really for this e-forum. The first being to present the accomplishments and to emphasize the best practices of the MSME Resilience Core Group under the Strengthening MSME Disaster Resilience in the Philippines project.
And another objective is to reaffirm the public-private partnership and map out next steps in promoting MSME resilience in the country.
And lastly, to highlight stories of hope and resilience in adopting and responding to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic that may serve as an inspiration among MSMEs.
Great. So we have a lot to look forward to this afternoon, but before we formally begin our program, let's have a quick look at our house rules. So please note that your microphones and cameras are automatically turned off as you enter the session.
If you have any questions for the speakers and panelists, please maximize the Q&A box, which you can find in the middle portion of your screen.
Make your questions concise and direct, and if you have questions for a specific panelist, kindly include their name in sending your questions.
By joining this activity, you are agreeing to participate in a recorded webinar that will be posted on PDRF platforms such as websites, social media pages, etc. And this recording will be purely for documentation purposes. So before we begin, let's take a look at a slide with the program of activities for this afternoon.
All right.
So that's a summary of how we're going to be spending the next few hours, really exploring everything that has to do with the MSME RCG. Great.
Okay,
over to you, Earl.
Yeah, a quick reminder as well. We are live on Facebook on our Facebook page, which is fb.com/thepdrf. So for all our participants, we do appreciate if you share this to your friends, colleagues, and loved ones as well.
Anyone who might be interested in the program today, they're welcome to join us.
Yeah.
So yes, we're here to really celebrate the achievements of the RCG. So ano ba yung RCG? What's that all about?
Well, syempre, nagbasa ako as the host. Alam ko din yung RCG,
Sure ba?
but maybe. But feeling ko we have to invite two people who would be in the best position to give us a background on what the RCG is all about. So with that, we would like to call on from the Department of Trade and Industry, Mr. Edwin C. Pasahol, and from the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, Ms. Veronica Cabaldon, for the MSME RCG overview. Over to you guys.
Gandang hapon, Edwin. Umpisahan na natin. I think you're still on mute, Edwin.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, magandang hapon po at maulan na hapon pala sa ating lahat. Thank you for joining us in the 2021 MSME Resilience E-Forum with the team Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. So this event is co-organized by the National MSME Resilience Core Group. I am Edwin Pasahol, the Chief of Program Development Division of DTI Bureau of SME Development.
Magandang hapon, Edwin, at magandang hapon sa ating lahat. I am Veronica Cabaldon, the Executive Director of Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, the Philippines' major private sector vehicle and coordinator for disaster management. Once again, thank you for joining us in today's activity.
Okay, PDRF, along with other members of the MSME Resilience Core Group, has been one of our development partners in advancing MSME resilience in the country. Director Veron, can you share with us how this public-private partnership started?
Yeah, actually, Edwin, the public-private partnership was conceptualized by the Philippine representatives who participated in the 2016 Asian Business Forum held in Bangkok. And that PPP was formed, they formed the MSME Resilience Core Group as the localized version of the DTI Asian Disaster Preparedness Center collaboration on strengthening disaster resilience of SMEs in Asia.
Okay. I heard the Philippine delegation was composed of representatives now from the Department of Trade and Industry, headed by our then Undersecretary for Regional Operations, si Yusek Maglaya pa yun, ano? And organizations such as Office of Civil Defense, Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Philippine Exporters Confederation, and Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. So, Ms. Veron, how was it that the DTI ADPC initiative localized and echoed to the regions?
Yeah, after that Bangkok forum, the Philippine participants continued to meet and discuss collaborative efforts in strengthening the partnership among these institutions in the area of disaster resilience or of our SMEs. So the Bangkok forum inspired the Philippine delegates to engage in a similar learning and experience sharing event. Kaya nung 2016, July of 2016, we did the National Forum of us on Strengthening Disaster Resilience which was participated by about 250 MSMEs and partners all over the country. The event was capped with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding among the government sector, the private sector, and development partners. So this understanding formalized the PPP and the MSME Resilience Core Group, which was formed. And from there, the Resilience Core Group facilitated regional and even provincial forums to localize the national roadmap for strengthening the micro and small medium enterprise resilience in the country.
Oh, yes, these events are familiar to me. To date, we have already facilitated 13 regional forums and 6 provincial forums with almost 4,000 MSMEs and MSME enablers. I've been involved with the regional forum, started in 2018 when I joined the Program Development Division of BISMED. And we've been actively promoting the MSME Resilience Roadmap and Action Plans with the 4 thematic areas. And alam natin yung 4 na areas na yan. One is yung enhancing SME general and disaster risk data. Pangalawa yung disaster risk reduction and management and business continuity management, awareness and training. Pangatlo yung tailored disaster risk financing for MSMEs, and pang-apat yung SME inclusion in disaster risk reduction and management and climate change adaptation, policy planning and local institutions. DTI, together with you, PDRF, as the head of thematic area 2, has been active in conducting BCP or business continuity plan sessions with MSMEs and other government agencies. And in 2019, decided to extend the PPP or public-private partnership to reach more MSMEs and implement more projects to ensure nga yung ating business continuity.
That is right, Edwin. This is the same reason why we are gathered here today, to once again reaffirm the collaboration and scale up our initiatives and projects for the MSME sector. And we are fortunate enough for the continued support of our partners in this advocacy. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how this initiative started. So moving forward, we are pleased to share with everyone that we will be intensifying our initiatives to ensure that our MSMEs are resilient, adaptive, and agile, especially now that we are still confronted with the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, great. Thank you, Director Veron. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope our viewers and audience, I believe there are, 255 in Zoom. I don't know how many are in the
more, so Facebook. Yes.
Yeah. So I hope our viewers and audience were able to grasp briefly of the overview of the MSME Resilience Core Group through our short and simple dialogue. And so to move forward, let us now give back the floor to our host for the next part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Veron and Ms. Veronica Gabaldon and Mr. Edwin Pasahol. So very interesting nga yung sinabi niya na from the 2016 Asian Business Forum in Bangkok, ngayon yung public-private partnership became the MSME RCG now. And the fact that there have already been 13 regional forums and almost about 4,000 MSME and MSME enablers is really amazing. So angkop na angkop talaga yung ating theme ngayon. Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, and of course, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. So ano yung next part ng ating program, Camille?
So, tama naman. Ngayon naman, we're going to have our keynote address again on the theme of strengthening resilience in MSMEs. But before we call on our speaker, I just want to mention what a distinguished speaker we have with us today for this keynote address. So we have Undersecretary Blasila Lantayona, and just a few words on her profile kasi sobrang impressive niya nga talaga. So prior to her appointment as Undersecretary for the Department of Trade and Industry, she was also the Assistant Secretary of the DTI Regional Operations Group, in charge specifically of really good projects like Mentor Me, the Shared Service Facilities, Industry Cluster Enhancement Project, the Great Women Project 2, and many, many others. Again, very, very impressive that she holds an MBA in International Business from the École Européenne des Affaires, or the European School of Management from Paris, France. And in 2019, she was actually appointed as the Supervising Undersecretary in charge of 16 regional offices, 81 provincial offices, and the Bureau of Small and Micro Enterprise Development. So yes, so excited to hear the keynote address called Strengthening Private Sector Resilience Through Innovative Strategies. May we call on the Undersecretary Lantayona, please.
Thank you very much, Camille. Maganda at maulan na hapon po sa ating lahat. I am pleased to see all of you virtually though. For this year's MSME Resilience E-Forum with the theme Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. This is a gathering co-organized by the National MSME Resilience Core Group composed of our public and private sector partners in celebration of the National Disaster Resilience Month and as a prelude to the National MSME Summit this first week of August. DC Edwin and Edie Veron, I am really so inspired with your story and overview on the MSME RCG. So Bangkok pala siya nag-umpisa. So in other words, imported, no? Imported siya. But the passion started there. And because of that, let me take this opportunity to thank our partners for their unwavering support to this advocacy and even their commitment, to strengthen this advocacy today and in the future. So we have the Undersecretary of the Office of Civil Defense, Undersecretary Ricardo Halad, Undersecretary Renato Solidom Jr. of the Department of Science and Technology, President Benedicto Yuhico of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, President Rene Butch Mailey of the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, President Sergs Ortiz Luis Jr. of the Philippine Exporters Confederation Incorporated, Chairman Edgardo Lacson, Employers Confederation of the Philippines, President Gilbert Albero, Asian Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, PH, Executive Director Hans Gottman, ASEAN Disaster Preparedness Center. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the business operations of the MSMEs in the Philippines, which are about 99.5% of the registered establishments in the country. The consequences of COVID-19 pandemic are likely to outlast the pandemic itself. As we are moving towards the direction of recovery and adjustment, the presence of institutions and organizations intended to assist the vulnerable sectors of the society is crucial. Today, we will be highlighting the importance of resilience and business continuity through the 2021 E-Forum. During these times, the concept of resilience is quite a hot topic. Everyone, especially policymakers and development institutions, is almost always talking about how we can assure resilience of various sectors. But what is resilience and how do we measure it? Honestly, it is very difficult to measure resilience, and this is because the resilience concept is defined variably in different contexts. In the case of MSMEs, resilience may be equated to business continuity or an organization or business ability to maintain essential functions during and after disruptions has occurred. Various definitions are provided by scholars around the world. Allow me to share some of these definitions. Retail business resilience is broadly defined as the ability to sustainably adopt changes and shocks that challenge stability. That's one definition. Another definition is retail resilience encompasses the ability to detect, prevent, and handle disruptive challenges in a sustainable manner. However, the ability of a business to respond and adapt to the unexpected changes and disturbances that affect characterizes most definitions. Another way of understanding the concept is by looking at words related to it. According to Jay Bloomberg of Forbes, the flip side of resilience is innovation. The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development identifies two types of innovation for firms, namely product innovation and business process innovation. The latter is what we can consider as related to business resilience. It is the ability of our MSMEs to become adaptive and agile to disruptive changes. It is being able to anticipate and proactively learn, therefore adjusting business processes to suit the requirements of the market, consumers, present and future situation, and the environment. In the Philippines, innovation is supported by Republic Act 11293 of the Philippine Innovation Act of 2019. The state aims to place innovation at the center of its development policies, and by harnessing innovation efforts to help the marginalized, enable MSMEs to be part of the domestic and global supply chain, and catalyze the growth of Philippine industries and local economies. The business sector, academe, the scientific community, and research institutions play a crucial role in driving inclusive economic growth through innovation. As such, the government closely cooperates with the sectors and encourages the innovation-driven efforts of businesses, MSMEs, academe, and the scientific community. We at the Department of Trade and Industry have always been promoting MSME resilience and innovation as guided by the strategic goals, 2 of the 5 strategic goals under the MSME Development Plan. And these are enhanced management and labor capacities and improved access to technology and innovation. Here are some of the major programs of DTI that adopted the changes brought about by COVID-19 pandemic. I am sure that one way or the other, one time or the other, you have encountered these programs in the field. So we have this Kapatid Mentor Me program of the DTI in partnership with the Philippine Center for Entrepreneurship Go Negosyo, which shifted its mentorship program online 1 month, immediately 1 month after the pandemic. We had this pandemic. Part of its set of 10 modules is the digitalization topic, which is module 5, and it addresses or discusses the adoption of digital technologies to modify a business model. We also have the ASEAN SME Academy, which is administered by the Philippine Trade Training Center. Global MSME Academy, part of DTI, this is a one-stop multi-platform online learning and information resource, which aims to provide training and mentorship to enhance ASEAN SMEs' capabilities to grow and compete regionally and internationally. Of course, we have the Shared Services Facility Program, fabrication laboratories, which have been producing personal protective equipment or PPEs, ethyl alcohol face shields, and aerosol boxes that can be made manually or using the digital fabrication machines, such as the 3D printers, laser cutters, etc. SSFs, on the other hand, are also producing the face masks. So we have funded this under a shared system, but benefiting, of course, the MSMEs. We also have this Payong application, Payong umbrella, which is a web and mobile-based application aimed at advocating entrepreneurship, business continuity planning, and access to microinsurance. Through this application, we intend to provide platform for MSMEs to ensure continuous learning and productivity amidst the health crisis. We also have the Control Plus B's Reboot Now, which is a series of free webinars that are targeted to MSMEs who need to transform their business digitally. Kasi nawala, naputol yung kanilang cash flow, they cannot sell. So therefore, they need to explore the online selling. Tech tools for MSMEs during COVID-19 is a Google site developed to provide information to MSMEs in different technology tools, applications, platforms, and resources available in coping with the challenges of COVID-19. Now, we also have this Descuento Caravan and online trade fairs. Series of Descuento Caravans and rolling stores are being conducted to ensure that supply of basic necessities priced in accordance to or even lower than the suggested retail prices, they are brought down to the barangay levels. Immediately after the outbreak of pandemic in 2020, the DTI had to realign its budget and remodel or rectify its existing initiatives to respond to the pressing needs of the MSMEs. We have prioritized assistance to MSMEs affected by the lockdown through we have this livelihood seeding program, pangkabuhayan sa pagbangon at ginhawa. We also have another livelihood seeding program, which is the Negosyo Serbisyo sa Barangay. We also have this SB Corporation, the financing arm of DTI. We have this COVID assistance to restart enterprises. This is a financing facility which is interest-free, collateral-free, with a maximum of 2 years grace period. And we have transitioned the capacity building sessions, trade fairs, online portals such as the Negosyo Center portal and Central Business Portal to be able to serve the MSMEs even during the lockdown or quarantine restrictions. We also issued different circulars to ensure the safety of consumers and businesses. To complement the existing programs of the Department of Trade and Industry we collaborated with the various local and international development organizations to promote awareness of MSME resilience, business continuity, and innovation. And as I have mentioned earlier, we are very pleased to have you with us today as we reaffirm the commitments of the MSME Resilience Core Group in strengthening the resilience of the business sector in our country. Let us be mindful that resilience and disaster management is a multi-agency, multi-stakeholders concern. No one is safe until everyone is safe. All of us are expected to act proactively to ensure the resilience of our business, livelihood, family, and community. We encourage everyone to access related programs and interventions, both from the public and private sectors, and maximize their benefits. We hope that this gathering will provide everyone an opportunity to share our expertise and learn from the stories of resilience of the MSMEs that will be featured. So with that, I'd like again to thank everyone and please stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Undersecretary Lantayona. What a truly inspiring keynote message. There's a lot to unpack there and a lot that we have learned. We love how you really began with resilience as a hot topic these days. And thank you for sharing the different ways by which we can define this concept of resilience. And thank you for also emphasizing the crucial role of innovation, how innovation is really at the center of all our policy making, and that how different sectors have to come together, business sector, the academe, financial institutions, to really help all our MSMEs recover from the effects of the pandemic. So you also shared a bunch of wonderful and helpful DDI initiatives. We also wanted to mention that a lot of our partners here today from the private sector also have a lot of programs and initiatives to complement the existing DTI programs. Like to plug, for example, from PDRF, we do have the CCAP program and the CCAP platform, which actually helps provide a lot of information on DTI events to all our MSMEs in our network. So it's just a lot to take in. What else did you pick up from this speech, Earl?
Great. Yeah, thank you, Yusek, for that very wonderful keynote address. I like how the different programs and innovations was mentioned from DTI, from digital fabrication machines to the Payong app to the Biz Reboot now. And finally, the final message really is very important. No one is safe until everyone is safe. All right.
Indeed.
So, sige, lipat na tayo. Punta na tayo sa next part ng ating program. So, for the next part, we would have the conveners messages. Camille?
Yep. We have 8 people. I will mention the first 4. For the Office of Civil Defense, we have with us a representative for Undersecretary Ricardo D. Halad. We also have Undersecretary Renato Solidum Jr. representing the Department of Science and Technology. We have representing the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, our president, Mr. Rene Meli, and representing PhilExport, the Philippine Exporters Confederation Incorporated, Chairman George T. Barcelon.
Great. And with us, we also have from the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, Mr. Roberto C. Amores. And we also have with us Gilbert Albero from the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management in Philippines. We have from the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, Hans Gutman. And represented from the Philippine from the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have Alegria Limhoko.
Great. Let's get the ball rolling on the conveners' messages. First up, representing the Office of Civil Defense and Undersecretary Halad, may we call on our first convener, ASEC Casiano Monilla, please.
Warm greetings to all the partners in disaster resilience, ating pong mga attendees na ngayon. Well, the Philippines is much known for what we do in disaster risk reduction due to our exposure to hazards and risks. The recent disasters in the country, which resulted in massive damage and countless human loss, demands that we swiftly and proactively build safer, adaptive, and disaster resilient Filipino communities. It is even more alarming that most of these disasters are exacerbated by global climate change. And when disaster strikes, it transcends jurisdictional boundaries. It affects us all, but not equally. Most often, businesses and livelihoods are the most affected by these disasters. Not only it affects the overall economy, it affects the Filipino families. Our micro, small, and medium enterprises is the fuel of our economy. And when disaster happens, it affects the entrepreneurs that help build Filipino families. This is why we are gathered today for the MSME Resilience E-Forum with the theme Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag at Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. Spearheaded by the Department of Trade and Industry. Today, we will be listening to stories of resilience in MSMEs and to showcase that MSMEs can build on capacities despite adversity. With this forum, we are reaffirming the government's commitment to ensure that our entrepreneurs are resilient and to be your partner in making sure that no one is left behind. As the representative from the Office of Civil Defense and with our role in the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, it is incumbent to us to put premium in ensuring business continuity. And with the collaboration of efforts from the MSME Core Group, PDTI, PDRF, OCD, and all private sector partners, it's no longer but just business as usual. Resilient businesses mean prioritizing the welfare of employees and families, and resilient business contributes to having a resilient economy. As we say, ang matatag na negosyo at kalakalan ay pundasyon ng matatag na ekonomiya. The government recognizes the partnership with the private sector. the centrality of what we do in DRRM, the Filipino people. We acknowledge that in building disaster resilience, it requires the whole of society approach. And let this forum be an avenue to collaborate further as we empower our MSMEs that has harnessed and build upon the good work that we do as we build safer, adapted, disaster resilient Filipino community towards sustainable development. Thank you and good afternoon, everyone.
Maraming salamat, ASEC Manila. Ngayon naman po, we'd like to call USEC Solidum from the OST.
Good afternoon. We all know that the Philippines is prone to various hazards, epidemics, and most importantly, the long-term effects of climate change, which is global warming. If we look at past disasters, we have seen many impacts and losses, ranging from life losses, injury, disruption of physical and economic activity, and most often, livelihoods, especially for the micro, small, and medium enterprises, will be affected unless they are resilient. We have a role to make sure that all of these businesses would still exist after a major hazard would pass through the Philippines. But to do that, the Department of Science and Technology is one of the organizations of our government that would help us understand the potential impact or the risk to the various sectors of our society through the provision of monitoring and warning system, but more importantly, have scenarios developed so that we can preview what can happen to all of us. We also help in communicating and making sure that we all understand the risk that we face so that appropriate preparedness, countermeasures can be done so that we are all protected. One very important aspect that we do at the Department of Science and Technology is to develop and implement solutions that can help all sectors of our society, and in particular, in this context of this meeting, would be to help micro, small, and medium enterprises not only make sure that their business grow, but they become resilient when it comes to disaster and climate change. The Department of Science and Technology, on its part, has what we call the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program to help micro, small, and medium enterprises in technology application, but also making sure that they are protected from disasters. So I'm very glad that this MSME Core Group would continue to exist, and the Department of Science and Technology promises to actively participate in making sure that you are resistant to the various hazards that we face. We have partnered with DTI and other groups in providing MSMEs with the risk assessments so that you can now prepare better with the given data that we have produced. So I hope that you use device applications. Payong app was already mentioned, but in it would be the Hazards Hunter assessment that you can all access through your fingertips. So please use science, technology, and information for your resilience. Maraming pong salamat sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat, USEC Solidum. May we now call on Mr. Mayley from PDRF?
Yeah, thank you. As part of PDRF's program to help sari-sari stores excuse me, recover from the pandemic, I got to meet 400 sari-sari store owners, all women. They were the income generators for their families. They looked scared and worried about reopening their stores. With the help of companies such as Unilever, Smart, and Coke, PDRF delivered a package of goods to help them restart their stores. The pandemic has devastated many MSMEs. Many have closed, never to reopen. These businesses provided a living for families and enabled owners to send their children to school. Many are now facing the prospect of being dragged into poverty. The Resilience Core Group or RCG, was established in 2016, sponsored by the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center in Bangkok, the Asian Preparedness Partnership, and PhilPrep, with DTI and PCCI as co-chairs, and OCD, DOST, PhilExport, the Employees Confederation of the Philippines, and the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management in Tokyo as partners. That's quite a coalition of the government and the private sector. The goal was to strengthen your businesses, MSMEs, and build their resilience. This mission has become even more urgent with the pandemic. The RCG and PDRF have developed a number of tools, many of which are free, to assist MSMEs. These include the MSME Resilience Guidebook, meant to be the primary reference material for developing a business continuity plan for small businesses. Separately, we launched CCAP at ccap.com.ph. It's a free digital knowledge hub where users can access information on loans, programs, business tips, and online mentoring. We have the iAdapt online learning platform and the Katatagan in a Box, which contains the tools to build your own business continuity plan. We even have a comic book that features Tina, a feisty and fearless resilient superhero. These tools are all available online, and some have mobile apps. Although there are many twists and turns still to come with the COVID pandemic, one lesson that we have learned is that we are all connected. What happens in one city in China can affect all of us here in the Philippines. If we can work together to promote and protect small businesses, we can save many of our fellow Filipinos from despair and poverty and lead them into the bright and eternal sunlight that surely awaits all of us once this pandemic ends. Thank you all for being here.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Meili. Ngayon naman po, tawagin natin si Mr. Barcelon from PhilExport.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to acknowledge our good friends from the DTI Undersecretary Bless Lantayona, from the Office of Civil Defense, ASEC Casiano Monelia, DOST Undersecretary, Mr. Renato Solidum Jr., and of course the speaker who just spoke, President Butch Melly of PDRS. Nice seeing you again. I don't have visibility of the others who are here, but I believe our ECOP chairman, Mr. Edgar Lacson, is here. APADM President Gilbert Albero, and Edwin M. Salonga from ADPC, and of course our President, PCCI, President Ambassador Dicky V. Uwico. My colleagues in the PCCI, ECOP, and PhilExport boards, PhilExport chapter, and industry association leaders, members and staff, government and other private sectors, partners and friends, others exporters, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Despite the challenges we face, the Philippine export industry is resilient and open for business as we are committed to evolve as a competitive global supplier, especially in this new normal. 1 year and 4 months through the pandemic, the private sector shares this message as we move on from surviving to thriving. Survey after survey shows that pandemic has severely hit our country especially the micro, small, and medium enterprises. At the same time, we also see the gradual improvements in our export and manufacturing performances, despite dealing with the COVID-19 uncertainty. This happened because private sector and government jointly took initiatives to keep businesses afloat and save jobs, while complying with the health and safety protocols. Specifically, employers, whether at the enterprise, sectoral, or industry level, work to closely monitor relevant global developments, pivoted to better ways of doing things, put in place the necessary protocols, train our workforce for higher skills, and adopted appropriate technologies. On the other hand, true to our mandate, PhilExport continued to operate almost normal 100%. Even though the lockdown, we have implemented flexible work arrangements. Over and above our regular services, we also initiated a project called The Road to the Fourth Industrial Revolution that aimed to help our members transition to digital operations to help ensure business continuity and sustain productivity. This is part of the PhilExport MSME roadmap launched last year, accomplishments of which we continue to monitor. This is likewise a specific contribution as PhilExport volunteer to one big urgent mission, and that is to help restore lost jobs and revive an economy that has been a major victim of this pandemic. While obviously, we do not have everything under our control, but we are fortunate to have been working with the right partners to make a difference in helping contribute to the recovery, resilience, and eventually resurgence. This brings me to the MSME Resilience Core Group, or better known as RCG, which has embraced this mandate to specially assist MSMEs towards resilience, to help crisis-proof their businesses. We are dealing with enterprises in varying levels of development and capabilities, making this extra challenging. But 5 years into this program, we have been inspired by the growing networks of partners, advocates, and many success stories. We intend to use them as building blocks to achieve the group targets and help contribute to the national vision of inclusive and sustainable growth. In this context, I'm very honored and pleased to represent PhilExport in this event as we move to the next phase of our resilience journey. PhilExport recommits to be part of these efforts, especially since most of our members are MSMEs. We remain hopeful that no matter the odds, we can come out of this crisis stronger and better as a people and as a nation. We tapped on the synergies among us. Let me end here and wish for another successful resilience program and forum. Thank you. Good afternoon. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Mr. Barcelon. May we call on Mr. Amores from ECOP. Sir, we can't hear you. Sorry. Sorry, sir. Still no audio. All right, no worries, sir. We'll just
Okay.
give you a moment to set up. Do we proceed? Let's give him a few seconds.
Let's give him a few more seconds. Otherwise, we can come back to Mr. Amores after
Yes.
once his audio is set up.
Okay,
But I think
let's
he has
see.
changed the headsets. So
Should hopefully, sir, still sir, it's all right. We could give you some more
we'll
time
circle
to.
back to
Yeah. Okay. Who do we have next, Earl?
Thank you. We'll come back for Mr. Amores. In the meantime, tawagin po natin from APED Philippines, Mr. Albero.
So just a moment while our team will spotlight Mr. Albero, and then we can proceed with his message. Apologies, this is what happens these days. It is just a thing that happens with the Zoom setup, but not a
Hello.
big problem. Hello, yes, sir.
I'm back.
Oh,
Anyway,
all right.
Okay, great.
Great.
Take it away, Mr. Amores. Thank you.
yeah, I'm sorry, but I prepared for the connection and I was surprised suddenly. 2 seconds na wala. With my apologies. Anyway, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat and thank you for this invitation to be one of the guest speakers in this very important forum with the bottom line of Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. As earlier described, I will dispense with the acknowledgement and pleasantries as our guests were already properly introduced earlier by two distinguished speakers. Now, I would just like to insert a comment in order to further improve our adapting to this new normal and our adapting to the need to be able to ensure jobs, business survival, and continuation. As earlier mentioned by the distinguished guest, Yusek Bless Lantayona, there were a lot of interventions that were already being done through the Department of Trade and Industry, but I just would like to impress upon ourselves that in a disaster of an MSME, kailangan ng kapital yan para makabangon. No? And for your information, the PhilExport, PCCI, PhilFoodex, and the other private organizations have been a cooperator in the SB Corp CARES program. Gusto ko lang maisingit, if we can further strengthen the lending consistency as far as requirements, fast-tracking everything dito sa SB Corp, lalong mapapabilis ang recovery ng ating mga MSME, lalo na dito po sa nangyaring COVID-19. It's just my comment on the one of the most important presentations that were given by presented by Yusek Lantayona. Anyway, first and foremost, it is very unfortunate that we are yet again celebrating the National Disaster Resiliency Month virtually, hindi po live or hindi pa talagang tunay na blended. Nevertheless, I still would like to acknowledge the MSME Resilience Core Group or the RCG, led by the DTI, the DOST, the Office of Civil Defense, and the private sector for its dedication and untiring effort in reaching out to the micro, small, and medium enterprises or the MSME sector, and for organizing this very important event despite all the challenges and restrictions. The past 1.5 years have been extremely challenging for businesses to survive and thrive despite the adversities. Even if vaccine rollout has already been underway since March of this year, the number of vaccinated people remains low and still far from herd immunity, hence slowing the pace of economic recovery. In addition, we are experiencing another surge of COVID-19 cases. Now we have the Delta variant, a number of quarantine measures are still in place, and there appears to be some lags in the procurement still on the vaccine side. With this, according to a recent survey conducted by the UNDP on the impact of COVID-19 on MSMEs in the Philippines, majority of MSMEs are still temporarily closed or are operating at decreased capacity, which indicates their difficulties in getting back to their business operations. Given the state and nature of our MSMEs, these disruptions easily turn into crisis for MSMEs as they are the first to feel the impact and shoulder the burden of such economic downturn. Disasters, disruptions, and crises translate to additional cost coupled with reduction in productivity, disrupted cash flow, kaya kailangan talaga po ng ayuda sa ating mga lending institution, and continuing expenses leading to losses, including employment-related, just to they can survive. These disasters call on the private sector, especially the MSMEs, to prioritize business, resiliency, and continuity. Enterprises, large and small, must be able and capable to manage and ensure that their businesses will remain operational with the end goal of business survival. The RCG, or the Resilience Core Group, plays a crucial role in this aspect. The collaboration between the public and private sectors is vital in coming up with joint and multifaceted activities, services, and interventions, as well as pushing forward comprehensive policy reforms and recommendations. As an institution, ECOP has been at the forefront in protecting the interests and welfare of employers in policy making, keeping in mind the negative impact of any stringent law to MSMEs. We are also continuously developing programs and services that aim to provide technical assistance to employers, especially to MSMEs who have limited access to resources, linkages, and information. Our objective is, number one, to help shape a policy environment that is conducive for MSMEs. And number two, equip MSMEs with the right skills that will help them navigate to the new normal. The Confederation is constantly in talks with our international development partners in coming up with services and interventions for MSMEs, especially on occupational safety and health, business continuity, digitalization, and crisis management, among others. These are all in the pipeline and will be launched in the very near future. Allow me as well to share with you a project agreement that ECOP concluded with giant industry associations, launched in our recently concluded 42nd National Conference of Employers with the theme Reform, Rebound, Recover. I wish to congratulate the chair of the 42nd National Conference of Employees, Chairman George Barcelona of PhilExports. Congratulations, sir. We are currently undertaking a public-private project agreement that is aimed at immediately sourcing Filipino talents for deployment in certain industries under a policy environment that would help create jobs all over the country. For now, the project is focusing on the manufacturing sector, semiconductors and electronics. We have tourism, which was really hardly hit, and hospitality, and export industries. But ECOP is looking forward to extending this project to other industries and other sectors to be able to generate more jobs and to help in the recovery of the Philippine economy. In closing, I would like to express that it is an honor for ECOP to be part of this significant event, which aims to highlight accomplishments of the RCG, reaffirm the public-private partnerships necessary to ensure MSME resilience in the Philippines, and draw attention to stories of hope and resilience in adapting and responding to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to reiterate that ECOP will always remain a steady and committed partner of the MSME RCG in all its endeavors to champion the well-being of our MSMEs, the backbone of the Philippine economy. On behalf of ECOP, I wish all of us an productive day. Maraming salamat and mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Mr. Amores. Now, we'd like to call on Mr. Gutman from ADPC.
Thank you. Excellencies, my fellow conveners of the National MSME Resilience Core Group and distinguished participants of this 2021 MSME Resilience E-Forum. A pleasant day to you all. I consider it an honor and privilege for ADPC to be part of this event. As an autonomous international organization, the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, or ADPC, works to build resilience of people and institutions to disasters and climate change impact in Asia and the Pacific. ADPC provides comprehensive technical services to countries in the region across social and physical sciences to support sustainable solutions for disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. ADPC specifically supports the Philippines and other countries in Asia and the Pacific in building their disaster risk reduction systems, institutional mechanisms, and capacities. At ADPC, we support the national aspirations of Filipinos to achieve safer, disaster resilience and climate change adaptive communities towards sustainable development. You probably all know this, but I want to present it to provide context. About 1 million business enterprises are operating in the Philippines. And as earlier mentioned, over 99.5% are micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, leaving less than 0.5% as large enterprises. And together, these MSMEs generate a total of more than 62% of the country's total employment. Moreover, MSMEs account for 25% of the country's total export revenue. And though perhaps even more important for Filipinos, about 60% of all exports in the countries belong to these MSME category, a major employer in the Philippines. Like in many countries across the globe, MSMEs are considered as the backbone of the Philippine economy in terms of numbers, employment, output, and revenue. The protection from and ability to respond to disasters is important to the Philippines, as it is in many countries. Engaging with MSMEs is a critical component of this effort. The advent of COVID-19 pandemic continues to pose great challenges to communities and economies. And as presented by my colleague Butch of the PDRF, COVID-19 has impacts way beyond the health sector. Just look at the knock-on effects on the restrictions to travel due to the necessary actions to prevent the spread of the virus. As my wife is a small business owner, I now have direct experience of the difficulties faced by MSMEs and the need for advice, support, including financial, and sharing of experiences. And I think now more than ever, it is imperative that we work together in assisting vulnerable sectors in the society, including the MSMEs. It's only through collaborative effort that the resilience recovery of the Philippines economy can be ensured. ADPC's private sector engagement is diverse. And for example, ADPC implemented a regional project on strengthening the disaster resilience of small and medium enterprises in Asia from 2014 to 18. And the project was supported by Asian Development Bank, ADB, and the German Development Corporation, GIZ. Furthermore, ADPC supported the 2016 National Business Forum and the 2019 MSME Disaster Resilience Summit. Specifically, ADPC serves as the secretariat to and supports the work of the Asian Preparedness Partnership, or APP, which is financially supported by USAID and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. APP aims to strengthen the interface between government, local humanitarian organizations, and the private sector for enhanced disaster preparedness and emergency response. Currently, APP is present in 6 countries, including Cambodia, Myanmar, Pakistan, and the Philippines and Sri Lanka. Moreover, the APP multi-stakeholder partnership model is now being expanded to Bangladesh and Laos PDR. The Philippine Preparedness Partnership, or PhilPrep, is the APP national chapter in the Philippines. At the regional level, ADPC supports the activities of APP Regional Technical Working Group on private sector engagement in disaster risk management. Among its recent initiatives are the rollout of core humanitarian standards, tests on the online courses for scenario-based business continuation planning, or PCP, and the publication of study on the impact of COVID-19 on the private sector. In the Philippines, ADPC supports PhilPrep in the implementation of its programmed activities, and in response to COVID-19 pandemic, PhilPrep organized webinars, designed infographics and infomercials, and developed case studies. Among its focus sectors are the MSMEs. The APP intends to promote knowledge exchange and cross-national learning. To this end, ADPC regards its continuing engagement and mentorship of the National MSME Resilience Core Group in the Philippines as an important model to learn from and potentially replicate elsewhere in the region. ADPC, via the APP at the regional level and PhilPrep at the national level, is committed to support initiatives for business resilience with a focus on MSMEs, including those activities outlined by the MSME Resilience Core Group for 2021 to 2023 and onwards. And we'll be looking for new opportunities to support the private sector engagement in disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. And as a sign of our continued commitment, ADPC will today sign the Memorandum of Understanding on strengthening MSME disaster resilience in the Philippines, and the partners can be assured of ADPC's continued support, contribution, and engagement in this initiative. We look forward to stronger ties with the Philippines in ensuring that local communities and vulnerable sectors, such as the MSMEs, are supported in building their resilience. Thank you, and more power to the National MSME Resilience Core Group. And I hope to be able to see you all, or some of you, in person in the near future. But until that, please stay safe, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gutman. May we now call on Ms. Lim Hoko from PCCI.
Yes. A pleasant good afternoon to you all. On behalf of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, let me extend my warm congratulations to the entire MSME Resilience Core Group, composed of the various organizations from the government and private sector, for spearheading this year's MSME Resilience E-Forum. As a chamber, we have an important role to play in ensuring that our members and the business community in general get the necessary support and information as they bounce forward from the dire effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Access to timely and accurate information is more critical during the pandemic, and this is what MSME Resilience Core Group, where PCCI is a member, has been doing since the start of last year's community quarantine. Individually or as a group, we have been providing information to our constituents to enable them to manage the risk that pandemic has brought to their business, and we will continue to provide the support needed by the enterprises in their journey towards recovery. To help restart economic activities and restore business and consumer confidence, I would like to share that PCCI has committed to work on harmonizing the strategies, programs, and policies of our employment recovery agenda with the businesses within the framework of the National Employment Recovery Strategy through actions that will create a policy environment that encourages the generation of more employment opportunities. Despite many challenges since the pandemic hit, we have become more engaged, and we continue to put forward the interest of our member, local chambers, and the business community in general. And in these trying times, in fact, many of our recommendations have been considered by government, which helped cushion the adverse impact of the pandemic to the economy and the business. Increased collaboration among the private sector and government is key to further revive the country's economy. And I would like to share that our local chambers nationwide have been very responsive in adopting programs and championing policy measures at the local level to reduce risk to employees and cost of businesses and economy. Actually, our Visayas Area Business Conference is ongoing now, and I just left to be with you now. Aside from giving priority on the promotion and growth of the MSMEs, we continue to address national issues and concerns to improve and sustain the socio-economic development in our country today. We continue to monitor the developments and measures that the government has taken in connection with the resolutions we have presented during our major business conferences in the past. Moreover, we are now gaining traction on our advocacy for innovation with the signing of the Executive Order E0127, liberalizing access to satellite technology through inclusive access to satellite services. The signing has made possible access to millions of Filipinos, particularly the connection of micro and small enterprises and remote services for students, education, health institutions in the countryside, as well as far-flung municipalities and local government units. Just a few months ago, we launched our very own innovation center, the PCCI Innovation Center, housed at Double Dragon Meridian Plaza in Pasay City. This world-class facility serves as a central hub that facilitates knowledge and data exchange among tech-savvy startups and established businesses. The Innovation Center also engages interested national and local government leaders that seek digital transformation and software solutions in the areas of smart cities, medical technology, security system, and digital banking, among others. The PCCI Innovation Center has partnership with Huawei, Microsoft, and others. And as a matter of fact, on Friday, we are signing an MOU with DTI with Secretary Mon Lopez face-to-face. that is the Innovation Center, PCCI, with DTI. And then it offers courses to develop local talent and expertise in cloud, artificial intelligence amongst engineers and professionals. We invite you to drop by the Innovation Center when you get the chance to visit and enjoy the facilities. The PCCI Innovation Center is the Chamber's legacy and contribution to realizing the country's ambition 2040, where no one is poor, no one is left behind, and the Filipino people enjoy long and healthy lives, are smart, innovative, and will live in the high-trust society. In terms of upskilling, we also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority and the Alay Buhay last month, and to realize the common goal of making enterprises and the labor force competitive and future ready despite any challenges. The partnership also aims to ensure the quality of TVET by making it relevant and responsive to the needs of the industries. Like, for example, we are targeting ICT, also construction, because we know we have to focus first, and this is where we are. Then the webinar series served as a platform and avenue to learn more about all the available loans and their benefits to help enterprises continue to thrive and enhance the competitiveness of their respective enterprises and organizations, especially during these trying times. Moving forward, we will continuously encourage the LCCs to work hand in hand with their counterpart, local government units, for the effective and efficient implementation of policies and programs for micro, small, and medium enterprises. We believe in the importance of open, constructive, and objective dialogue in pursuing long-term and sustainable programs to continue serving our respective communities. I highly encourage everyone to be continuously optimistic that the economy will recover gradually amidst the challenges brought about by the pandemic. Let us all work together and push for the development of a resilient business sector in the country. Mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Lim Hoco. So that brings to a close the series of messages from our conveners. Thank you to everyone who spoke. Those were wonderful, wonderful messages, and we are grateful for your continued support. Nakakataba naman ang puso malaman na patuloy pa rin ang pagsuporta niyo sa lahat ng mga MSMEs natin dito sa bansa. So these short speeches really gave us a sense of hope for the future of the MSMEs in whatever sector. So let's move on to the rest of the program.
Correct. Ngayon naman, we know that the RCG has made so many achievements in the last few years, and we've put together the highlights in a special video for AVP. To tell us more about this, we would like to call Director Jerry T. Clavizilios from the DTI, Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. Director Jerry.
Thank you very much, and a pleasant day to everyone. To our conveners, thank you for gracing this event with your presence. Your participation reassures us with your continued support in our advocacy in building resilient business sector in the country. As mentioned by the DTI Regional Operations Group under Secretary Lantayona earlier in her keynote message, the public-private partnership in strengthening MSME disaster resilience in the Philippines is aligned and in support with the DTI priorities indicated in the MSME Development Plan for 2017 to 2022. This collaboration is under the strategic goal on enhanced management and labor capacities. With this, we intend to expand and strengthen the human resources capacity of MSMEs through optimal application of a combination of mentoring, group training, field outreach, and online training. Throughout the years, the MSME Resilience Core Group has been working on the development of policies and educational materials, reinforcing existing while forging new partnerships to advance MSME resilience and facilitating capacity and knowledge building sessions through forums, webinars, and series of interactive discussions. As we are moving forward with this with the MOU extension for 2021 up to 2023, we will scale up and broaden the scope of initiatives undertaken by the MSME Resilience Core Group. We appreciate everyone's support in laying the foundations of a future-proof business sector driving the recovery both of the Philippines' national and local economies. We look forward to continuously establish strategic collaborations with you all towards transforming a prosperous business landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present to you the MSME Resilience Core Group milestones from 2016 to 2021.
What a great video. It passed by in a flash, but there were so many milestones and achievements by the MSME Resilience Core Group in the last few years. It's very heartening. I'm really fascinated and impressed by the 300,000 MSMEs that were geotagged in the partnership with DOST. So yeah, the 300,000, can you believe it, right?
Right. It's a staggering amount when 300,000 MSMEs across, they were geotagged. So this is something worth mentioning again. So now what we can do is we go on to the next part of the program, which is very important actually. We now proceed to the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Agreement. This will signify that all organizations present, both in the government as well as in the private sector, affirm to engage with different stakeholders in supporting the development and implementation of policies, strategies, programs, and activities necessary to carry out the roadmap for MSME disaster resilience. Moreover, this partnership will institutionalize mechanisms to help MSMEs prepare for and recover from disasters.
So flashed on our screen right now is a copy of this very important document. And since we are in a Zoom setup, this is how we're gonna go with the ceremonial signing. We will invite as well all the conveners to switch on their cameras. We shall highlight them, spotlight them as well, and then we can see how they will affirm, as you mentioned, their participation and their support for any of the programs and the future activities of this wonderful Resilience Core Group. So yes, for the benefit of our audience, we are flashing the document on screen right now, and we are gathering as well all our conveners, all the representatives from the different organizations who spoke earlier and who shared their short and impactful messages about the MSME Resilience Core Group. So there.
Right. So I
to
can
give-
see everyone. Everyone's camera is on, and we can have the. Also, of course, together with the ceremonial signing, we will also have a photo opportunity with all our stakeholders here present with us.
to formalize the agreement as well. This is the
Correct.
closest we're ever gonna get to some sort of group photo, but we do our best. So while we're setting up, I think we're going to look for all our representatives from the organization. Our team will make sure to get everything moving smoothly. So we beg your patience for a bit as we, there we go, some music just to keep us alive still on a rainy afternoon.
Okay, we just received word that there is another one who will be joining us, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So let's wait for a moment or two until we can bring that person to spotlight. Great. Awesome.
Okay, let's just give it a few more seconds, and if, okay, I think she is here with us in the panel. Can somebody confirm if the camera is on and if she has been spotlighted as well, so we can proceed?
Do let us know, someone from our team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess internet issues, so that it takes a while for people to switch on their cameras sometimes. It's a thing.
That's okay. I think what we can do is we can proceed with this,
with the group we have assembled
the group
here.
we have right now. Yes. And Camille, can you just cue for the photo opportunity?
Sure,
for the
I'll count
entire
us
group?
down then.
Yeah.
So everyone, get ready for your big put on your big smiles. Let's count down. One, and oh yes, and if you have your signed document with you, it would be great if you could hold it up to your camera so that we can see how you have actually signed the memorandum. Amazing. Great. Thank you, everyone. So I can see Yusek Salidum and a few others raising their document. Great. So let's take a photo now. Official photographer 1, 2, 3. All right. I think we have it.
Great. Okay, so I think we'd just like to acknowledge also the presence of.
Oh, there.
Oh,
we have.
There you go. For representing the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management in the Philippines, we also like to acknowledge the presence of one of the conveners, Athea Peñalosa. So
thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for joining and being with us today. Great.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for participating in that ceremonial signing. That was a historic moment for the MSME RCG, and thanks for officially reaffirming your commitment to this mission to strengthen MSME resilience. Congratulations, everyone.
That's right. Congratulations. It's time for us to have a little fun. Camille, let's have a short break by having a quick game. So this is a game for all our participants out there. Of course, as with any game, we would have a prize for for our winners. Maybe Camille, can you enlighten us and share what's up for grabs?
Yeah, well, tingnan natin yung prize natin. Medyo exciting. in line with the whole theme of the E-Forum, Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy, we have for you up for grabs an MSME Resilience Kit that you could win if you answer one of our three trivia questions. So on the screen, you'll see a copy of the MSME Guide to Disaster Resilience. So this guidebook was actually developed by the RCG. It has a lot of practical tips for small businesses to be prepared for any disaster. And then on the right side, you're gonna have 2 sets of stickers. So fun stickers that we have developed in PDRF and the CCAP program. Some interesting things that you can stick on maybe your laptops, maybe in your storefronts, whatever. So it has each sticker set has something about small businesses, business continuity, katatagan, and maybe even a small bit of our comic book heroine, Tina, from the Di Matina comic book just met. So
Great.
yeah, exciting. Let's
So
go.
we'll just have a very quick icebreaker. We'll ask you 3 questions. The first 2 questions are for our Zoom participants. And just utilize the chat box, when whoever is the first one to answer will get the prize. Our chat moderators from PDRF are here to check whoever is going to be answering first. Let's bring out the first question, shall we? What
There we go.
year was the National Resilience Core Group formed?
On the chat box, please. Just
On the
just
chat
type
box,
in.
just give the year.
Oh, we see someone already answered. Any more? Oh, few more.
Okay.
Do we have
So
a winner?
I think we do have a winner. Thank you and congratulations. The correct answer is indeed 2016. Congratulations. We'll just get into our admin team will get in touch whoever answered first. Next question, Camille.
So the second question, something quite fresh. In the year 2016, Heidi Lindias won a bronze medal for which competition? So we do know that Heidi Lindias is our first ever gold medalist for the Olympics. Yay, Pinoy Pride. Congratulations. But she's been in a lot of competitions before this. So, okay, I see some answers. We have to be very specific about which sporting event. Some people have said SEA Games, weightlifting SEA Games, Rio Olympics, ASEAN SEA Games, none. All right. There are several answers already. Yeah. What is the correct answer?
Asian weightlifting championships.
Right. Did anyone get the exact?
No.
No.
That's fine.
Or it's fine. Are we? Well, we have one more question though, so don't worry.
And our last question is for our viewers or in YouTube. So it's
or
just
Facebook
here.
as well.
Facebook, sorry, and Facebook. How many MSMEs were geotagged through the DOST Disaster Risk Initiative? So we do appreciate the answers coming in our Zoom chat. However, this question in particular is for Facebook viewers.
Viewers only.
So if you're also watching and using Facebook, please answer in the chat box there. And
so let's wait for our Facebook moderator to give us
we'll just
heads
give it
up.
a few more seconds, maybe 10 seconds. And if we have no answer or no correct answer from Facebook, we'll just award the prize to the first one who got it correctly here in Zoom chat, and which we do have already actually.
Okay.
So the correct answer is indeed, next slide, 300,000 MSMEs. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations. And thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you for joining the game.
Great.
Oh, great. That's enough to give us a bit more energy. We have to go on.
Okay, no worries. We move on to our next segment. What's going to happen is we have 3 MSME enablers. They will be presenting their stories of resilience. So with us today, we are lucky to have engineers Cherise Abrigo of Sierreza, VP JP Soliman of Union Bank, and Mr. Nigel Eba of Bellevue Hotels and Resorts.
And after the sharing of these resilience stories, there will be a Q&A session to be moderated by PDRF's very own Executive Director, Ms. Veronica Gabaldon. So we do encourage our audience to drop any questions you have for our speakers in the Q&A box. So let's turn it over to Ms. V for this segment. Thank you.
Take it away, Ms. V.
Thank you, Earl and Camille. That was a fun game, very short game, but fun. Thank you. And before I begin, let me congratulate our conveners for renewing your commitment to building the resilience of our micro and small medium enterprises. So for this segment, we will have 3 stories. And as a background, it's been a year since we're into this pandemic. But is there still hope? So ladies and gentlemen, we will present to you 3 empowering stories that will inspire us and assure us that this platform, where the public and private partnership is, will continuously work for our MSME. So let us start, and let's begin with the first story. Let me introduce to you our speaker, Engineer Cheris Abrigo. Cheris Abrigo is the founder of Ciereza, the first zero-waste shop to open in Los Baños, Laguna, Philippines, and a cafe that also supports marginalized farmers. Ciereza's products include organic produce and healthy dishes. Ciereza started out as a cafe, but during the pandemic, it transitioned into a mobile market, still practicing zero waste. While Ciereza carries several of its products and ingredients come from Dumagat farmers in Panay and the city and in the Sierra Madre mountain ranges and more communities in Tarlac and Benguet. So before Ciereza, she did corporate project management work from 2007 to 2010. She also did environment projects years. Cheris is she has been dedicating time working with underserved communities 2012. Friends, please welcome Engineer Cheris.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. V. Can you hear me well? We were having some internet issues before, so are you hearing me well? Yeah? Okay, good. Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to, again, share our experience being a micro-scale enterprise in the midst of the pandemic. And what better joy but to share than to share the best practices and what we think worked in our setting. And so other MSMEs can also, learn from it and maybe replicate it and hopefully thrive, not just to survive, thrive during this pandemic. So if you could flash the presentation, please. Ayan. So hold on. So actually all pictures that you will see in this very short slide presentation are taken by me, by Ciereza, and these are actual farmers, actual IP farmers in the remote areas that we go to, and we help communities of marginalized people like IPs in GIDAs, in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas specifically, to build a livelihood that is sustainable, not just something that they can just call livelihood. It's something that matches their skills, matches the resources that they have in the environment, and also takes into consideration, or not just in high regards, their health, the health of the environment, and the health of the consumers. So Ciereza is a social enterprise that actually encompasses a lot of things. So if I can summarize that in one sentence, we aim to empower marginalized communities by helping them establish a livelihood that will connect them to the consumers community and promote community-supported agriculture. So that's what we're doing. And more details will come in the next slides that I will show you. So as Ms. V mentioned, we started as a cafe, and it's not just an ordinary cafe. We promote community-supported agriculture. And the reason for having a cafe is we want to have an outlet, a venue for people to know more about the people who produce their food and where their food comes from and how the food got into their table. And not just, nowadays we just buy food from the groceries, from the tindahan, and we don't really care, we don't really ask who produced this food, right? We lost that care, and we want to bring it back through community-supported agriculture. And if you can see in the slide, the traditional trade that we know and is being practiced, still being practiced now, widely practiced, is having like a singular direction of trade. And there is a big imbalance of who benefits from this kind of trade. So traditional trade, as we all know, starts with the farmers having no choice but to sell their produce for very low prices to consolidators, to middlemen, as we call them, but not just one middleman. It's usually layers of middlemen. And that's where the price starts to increase. And when it reaches the consumers, it will be like super high. And there's a reason for that. There are economic explanation for that huge difference in price. But the real question here is it fair to everyone in that picture? Is it fair to the farmers? Is it fair to the consumers? Or is it just the middlemen, those playing in the middle, who benefit and profit from it? And that's one thing that we want to be radical about. We want to see, and we want to prove that there is it is possible to have a different approach in agricultural trade, that we can care about our farmers, we can care about marginalized communities, we can care about the businesses in between, and we can care about the consumers at the end of the process. And this is community-supported agriculture. So normally CSA is defined as just like a model of agriculture where the farmers have somewhere secured to sell their produce. It's that it is a very good principle. It's also very simple, but we took a step further and crafted our own definition of CSA. And here, if you can see in the second image at the lower right, this is how we want, or we try to advocate for CSA. We partner with different communities, with different institutions, other local enterprises, sustainable markets, in order to promote working together and bringing back humanity. In this, it's not just a linear model. It will be a circular, not just circular. It's like a network where everyone is helping each other. So it's not just a simple agricultural trade enterprise, but it's something that connects people, reconnects people. Actually, we were connected before, we just lost it along the way, and we want to bring it back through this community-supported agriculture. And as I mentioned, we started as a cafe, a zero-waste cafe, and it was very, very it was very, very what do you call this, effective in telling people the stories behind the food, behind their food. But when the pandemic came, we had to shift to a different model. It's a mobile market, and we brought the fresh produce of the farmers to the consumers straight to their doorsteps. And with it, we bring the stories too, from the farmers to the consumers and back. We also tell the farmers what the consumers say about their produce, and in that way, it empowers them in a way that it gives them a sense of belongingness. They feel like they belong to the community again, and they're not just producers, but also they're part of it. They're part of their whole community. And I really, really want to show you the video that volunteer students tried to put together. And this is, and it will show you the effect of this type of model to our farmers, even through the pandemic. I know I have less than 5 minutes to show that. Can you just play the first 3 minutes? Is that okay? Hello?
Let's our team is actually trying to set up your video. Let's see if we can flash it. So sorry. There we go. So Francis, if you can show the first team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ang grasya para lahat na hindi lang magsasaka, bagamat nagkaroon ng pandemic, mayroon din nagbigay tulong para makaahon din dahil na bihit sa mga hanap buhay.
Ako po si Gabriel Escultos, undergrad ng UPLB taking Agricultural by Systems Engineering. Natatrabaho po ako sa Sireza. Ako po yung nangangasiwa sa sales and marketing. Same time, ako po yung nagdadrive papunta sa mga community dito sa Tarlac, Darahitan, at paminsan-minsan nakakita ng Bicol sa Camarines Norte.
Ako po si Ginoong Leonel Otameyo, tubong Darahitan sa IP, kabilang dito sa organization. Ano rin naman ang Sirisa, malaking bagay. Yung mga produkto namin, hindi kami ganun problema. Hindi na siya dumadaan ang dilman doon. Kakaroon ng araw talaga.
Ang ginagawa ko sa Sirisa ay itong mga komunidad natin na nagkukulang sa access sa itong mga teknolohiya ng growth. Binibigyan po natin sila ng opportunity para maabot sa kanila ito. Sinusulong namin yung idea ng sustainability. Sustainability muna sa livelihood, kaya nagpo-provide kami ng marketing and also pagtutulong sa organic farming. Pangalawa ay sustainability sa kapaligiran. Kaya ang aming pinupush talaga ay renewable energy na technology at the same time as organic farming.
Ang pinagkaiba ma'am nung kami nga kasali diyan, naging malaking tulong sa amin, nakasdagdag sa amin, kabuhayan. Saka ma'am yung kahit naman yung pandemya, hindi kami masyado napigtuan. Pero pagtatari namin, medyo nalilibang din kami. May pinagkakakitaan. Ayos no?
May mensahe ka ba daw sa amin, sa Shereza?
Tanging masasabi ko lang kung sana kami nga pa ng tulong pang kami ma-rescue na para kung ano mga aming i-request makukuha namin.
Nung dumating sa amin si Teresa, para sa akin siya po ay malaking biyaya kasi yung sa amin pong pagtatanim, meron na kaming tiyak na pagdadala ng mga produkto namin, na tiyak din namin na hindi masasayang yung mga pagod namin at yung mga effort na aming ginagawa. Nagpapasalamat din po kami ng malaki sa bumubuo ng Teresa kasi ako po'y naniniwala na kayo po'y ginamit ng Diyos para makatulong din sa kagaya naming mga farmers na maliliit na nasa bundok lang. Sa akin, malaking tulong kasi po, dito ko lang nagawa yung mag-ipon ako ng kahit na maliliit na halaga. Pero para pagdating ng December, makukuha mo din siya ng buo. At para sa akin, kasi ma'am, na-tuition ko yun sa anak ko. Kaya very thankful po ako sa Teresa at syempre, una sa lahat sa ating dakilang Diyos. Sa inyo pong lahat na bumubuo nito, God bless po.
Malaking bagay po ito yung pagkuha ng mga kalakal sa amin ngayon kasi po ay dati po kasi naghihirap po sino po ako kuha sa amin ng kalakal, na-i-stack lang po. Nung dumating ang Teresa, naging maganda kasi po ay linggo-linggo nakakakuha ng kalakal sa amin, malaking tulong na din po yun. Tapos sa sa akin po, bilang coordinator, malaking tulong po ito sa akin, lalo na nagagamit ko yung aking pinag-aralan. Tapos nakakatulong din po yun sa aming pamumuhay. Sa Teresa po, maraming salamat. Ang laking tulong po ito sa amin.
What we do now is a small step, but we're getting there. It is now time for us in our community to have the resources to help bridge the gap between this technological advancement that we have to these communities that need them the most. Because we in Cereza, as well as the community that supports Cereza, believes
No farmers left behind.
that no farmer should be left behind.
There you go. So thank you. Tinapos niyo pa rin. Salamat. So thank you. That that video was made by volunteers, as I said, and what I really want to say as closing is the pandemic showed us, highlighted what really matters most. And in this time, for us enterprises, making profit is no longer enough. We have to bring back the humanity, because that is what really matters. When everything falls apart, it's just us helping each other that is is most important. And this is what we want to share and to shout out to the world, that as we try to stand up back from this pandemic, let us think bigger than what has been and what is in the normal, what is normal before. We have to think bigger and be more inclusive in establishing our enterprises. And in this way, it really proved, especially as shown in our experience, that when we help each other, it is better, it is easier to survive, even thrive in challenging times. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Really, thank you for finishing that video. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Charis, and really a very uplifting story. We hope na magpatuloy kayo. It's really very good that right now more and more organic produce are being accessible or getting accessible to us consumers. No? Maraming salamat. Later on for our Q&A. Meantime, let's get on with our second story from the banking industry. Ano ang pwedeng gawin ng banking industry for our MSMEs? Let us hear from JP Soliman, the Union Bank Advancing FinTech to Support MSME Resilience presentation. JP is currently Vice President and SME Segment Head for Customer Experience Group of Union Bank, and he leads the group that drives Union Bank's various innovations in banking products, platform solutions, and services for the MSME market from a customer experience, journey, marketing, and technology perspective. He is an expert in advertising and solutioning for small and micro as well as large enterprises in understanding, finding, and using digital banking solutions that are right for their business. From a financial, operational, and technological or technical solution standpoint, Union Bank recognizes the importance of supporting small businesses and has provided solutions such as a digital banking app tailored for the needs of MSMEs. Friends, JP Soliman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I first and foremost would like to thank all of the conveners, the partners with Department of Trade. Kamusta po kayo lahat? And all our partners like PhilExport, PRA, ADPC, and all. Maraming salamat for having me here. And earlier today, I was looking at the participants and I did see very familiar names. So hello to all of you. It's nice to see you here. Now, let me be quick because I know we only have a few minutes left in this talk, but may I be allowed to share my screen? Yes, so it's telling me that I'm not allowed to share the screen right now. Thank you. But basically, I love the ending of the video that Charis had earlier before me, when they said that no farmer gets left behind. Because the same way, the same thing we do in Union Bank is, as we say, no one gets left behind, it's both for our people and the whole community, the whole MSMEs. And that is why, again, what we are doing now is really extending our own digital transformation, extending what we have learned, extending what we have done to each and every SME so that they'll be able to also pivot their businesses. Because as we all know, the pandemic itself, what really happened? A lot of people are saying COVID-19 was the reason why I had to digitize, right? COVID-19 was the reason why I had to pivot. So unfortunately, there might be some technical difficulties. My screen is really saying me that I'm not allowed to share. One moment. There you go. Okay, sorry. Can I be the one to share because there's a little bit of timing in my slides right now. So please stop sharing from your screen and I will be able to share mine. There we go. Here we go. All right. So there. So everyone can see my screen now. So my talk for today is about advancing fintech to support MSMEs. And why are we saying advancing fintech? It's because, to be honest, not everything can be done by a single bank. Not all these technologies can be done by one single person. That's why we have to do a lot of partnerships. And in reality, why are we doing this? Because really, what we have also learned from our own experience is digitization is equivalent to future proofing. It was lucky that we were prepared. It was, to share with everyone, it was lucky that Union Bank has started digitizing 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and we were prepared. And because of that, we were ready and resilient for the pandemic that happened. But we saw what happened to the MSMEs. We saw how those who are very traditional, how they really fell. But the good thing is, everybody started going back up. And we do have stories of customers who pivoted quickly and were able to really drive their business towards continuity. Now, why maximize digital tools? Number one, the non-reliance on traditional activities. Before, business was really face-to-face, business was really about brick and mortar. But the lockdowns has told us and have shown us, look, find another way. And what happened? Online came along and everyone started to do e-commerce and doing transactions online. And still, there was still activity that's going on. It might not be as big as before, but continuity was there. With digitizing, you will also be able to provide better customer experience. Again, it's like a BCP na rin, right? Sometimes BCP becomes a traditional when you are already on the digital space. And last but not the least, you can maximize the data that you're driving from these digital operations to drive better results. Now you would be able to understand your customers better. You'll be able to understand your own processes and what points of those processes do you really need to improve on and pivot with, right? Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, as a bank, we don't necessarily have to be the one to create all the products and services. We partner with a lot of different fintechs, technology companies, and even service-related companies so that we can deliver also the benefit of their products to the customers. Now, what we do is we vet them. We first make sure that the relevance of their products is there, and we make sure that we're able to put their pricing to the right level. This is one reason why a lot of SMEs are saying it's scary to digitize, because number one, the cost to digitize is so huge. Second is, the world of digital transformation is again very, very large that sometimes we get lost into, where do I start? What is it do I really need? And that is where we can also help. And that's where we do help a lot of customers, is we guide you to where and to who you should be partnering with for your own transformation. Now, we have this thing we call platformification. This is more on the customer experience mapping, where we put all the partners together into different platforms. So in terms of our own customers, the MSME's point of view, there's one single place they have to go to. One single place that they can access all those partner tools and solutions. Now, the beauty about platformification is we can customize platforms based on community relationships. For example, logistics platforms, e-commerce platforms, supply chain, banking as a service, marketplaces, and so on and so forth. There's education tech, there's medical tech, so on and so forth. Remember, all these services, we as the MSMEs are part of all of these ecosystems. We are part of communities where our own services are necessary to be able to fulfill another service. By platformification, we connect them all into one digital space, and we enable that faster ability for people for businesses to avail of each and everyone's own solutions and tools. Now, definitely, again, like I mentioned earlier, digitizing might be very scary for a lot. And this because we don't understand it fully. In our bank, together also with a partnership with PDRF, right? You can correct me, Camille. We had partnerships on how can we educate MSMEs better. Now, using multi-content, not everyone will be happy to watch a 1 hour long YouTube video. Not everyone would be excited about reading ebooks. So we experiment with different lifestyle and content creators and platforms. We've even recently experimented on doing short videos, TikTok-like videos on how we educate customers about digital transformation. It's multi-channel and it's all available as part of our own initiatives run by the bank. Now, through all of these capabilities and through all of these activities that we've been doing, we have helped so many MSMEs. One of the participants here, I saw her name, si Ms. Hope Palermo. Hi, Hope. I hope you're doing well. It's one of the success stories that we had along the way, particularly the platform of Global Linker. And she was able to pivot and bring her real foods, promote ko na, real foods into the digital space and through e-commerce as well. And sorry, I think my slide just hang a little bit, but we do have a lot of success stories where we have Janice Berte, whose business was in the coffee industry, and she used to supply coffee locally. With digital transformation, she was able to go global. She was able to bring a local company, before a small community company, into an export business. And through the help of our other partners, she was able to export coffee beans to other countries, which through e-commerce she was able to find. Now, as I was mentioning, we are enabling all of these through a particular customer experience journey. Whatever type of company you are, whatever type of customer you are, you will always have a journey that is more specific for you. Like personal accounts, our journeys are in Union Bank Online, while my baby right now, and we have developed the journey specific for micro entrepreneurs and small businesses, the MSME Business Banking. Large corporates would be the portal. E-commerce, we have Global Linker, and lending, we have the platform called CCAP. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all of these we are doing because our aim really is to tech up the Philippines. Our aim is to be able to impart what we have learned, what we have done, the success that we've seen in our own transformation down to each and every business owner. Like I mentioned before, this is a laban ng mga negosyante and where nobody will be left behind. And through us, through our partnerships also with DTI, PDRF, and all of our affiliate partners, we know we can bring the Philippines to the next level. Remember, the future starts with all of us. Let's bring the Philippines and the MSMEs to the next level of business. Thank you so much. And I do hope I was able to inspire.
Thank you. Thank you, JV. Pivoting to digital transformation during this pandemic have helped a lot of businesses to continue, no? But it is not easy. And we have to thank Union Bank for this kind of advocacy to teach and mentor our MSME. Maraming salamat sa suporta ninyo, especially to our CCAP platform where you continue to be our mentor there. Thank you. So on to our last but definitely not the least story for today. Let me introduce to you Mr. Nigel Eba. This one naman is from our hospitality industry. So Nigel Eba is currently the Group HR Director for Bellevue Hotels and Resorts. He is a passionate hospitality trainer and adult learning facilitator focusing on career development programs as well as an advocate of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. He became the resource person in accessible tourism in Bohol to promote employment of persons with disabilities in the tourism industry. His personal mantra is to be an instrument of learning and change, especially to those who are committed to learn and develop themselves. Friends, Mr. Nigel Eba.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Veronica, magandang hapon. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I was also inspired by the story of Cherries and JP, and I'm seeing now in the chat group that they've been asking for the contact of JP and they wanted to connect. So maganda yan, we're having this community that would like to help with each other. Time check is already 3:49. I hope you're still with us. So please do some stretching in your place, and I know sometimes it's draining to be in front of the computer for longer hours, but please bear with me. But before I present, just allow me to briefly introduce the organization that I am representing, the Philippine Hotel Owners Association, or FOA. We have 70 members with 302 hotels all over the Philippines. And our main mission is to be a single dominant voice in the hospitality industry and to take care of the needs of the members in this industry. Our president is none other than Mr. Arthur Lopez, and I have with me here also attending the executive director, Ms. Lenny Fabul. So, Sir Art, Ms. Lenny, thank you very much for choosing me to represent FOA for this afternoon. As mentioned, I'm connected now with the Bellevue Hotels and Resort, and let me just share my screen one moment. There you go. Okay, I'm connected with the Bellevue Hotels and Resort, and our properties are also member of FOA. We have four, just to quickly show you. We have the Bellevue Manila in Alabang, we have the Bellevue Resort in Bohol, we have B Hotel in Quezon City, and B Hotel Alabang also in Alabang. And just to share with you our initiatives when it comes to ensuring productivity through workplace safety. Even before the pandemic, our properties has been very into this disaster preparedness. In fact, all of our properties has the safety officer together with the hygienist to look after about the safety and safety of the property, and together with our food preparations. We also have this committee, the crisis management, wherein we are meeting every month to discuss the possible hazard or what are the identified risks and how to solve them. Until pandemic came and the term new normal came, no one is really prepared for that. Parang lahat nagtatanong, what is this new normal? No? And we have to rely with DOT, with DOH, and all the government institutions, especially the IATF. I'm happy to say that all of our properties are compliant with the IATF guidelines, especially on the protocols on the quarantine. In fact, in the workplace, we anchored and patterned our procedure to the COVID-19 joint memorandum of DTI DOLE that was released August 2020 of last year. And we've done series of seminars, programs, and orientation to our workforce for them to have this understanding of the new normal that's really happening in the industry. Hindi naman po kaila sa lahat that one of the most affected industry in this pandemic is the hospitality industry. So there are really lots of struggle happening in our industry. But regardless, syempre yung safety and security ng properties and our workforce is our priority. Part of the compliance with the DTI DOLE Joint Memorandum, all our properties has been submitting the workplace accident and injury report or COVID-19 wire to DOLE. That is every month. No? So just to make sure that we are complying. And we equip everyone and all of our employees, PPEs, vitamins, and RT-PCR. All are for free because we would like to ensure that the employees are working in a safe environment and together with our guests. No? So we're doing this because we are committed to provide service and up to the time of the pandemic. Just to quickly discuss to you, as mentioned also by JP kanina, in every guest, in every customer, there is a journey. In the hospitality industry, we have this guest journey. Before, mag-check-in ka lang, you go to the room and then you relax. Now, because of the new normal, the guest journey is now different. As you can see on the right side of the screen, before you enter, of course, the minimum health standard, the temperature check must be done. You have to fill out the health declaration form. And as you can see that we are very active when it comes to the sanitation of the common areas, public areas, and the highly touch places in our properties. We've been using a medical high-grade chemicals to disinfect our properties as well, just to make sure na walang virus and germs that you can catch wherever you are in our property. But as mentioned in kanina, we're also particular to the food safety. It must not only be delicious, but it must be also safe and healthy for the consumers. And as you can see on the bottom right of the screen, the housekeeping, we have been regularly disinfecting our rooms. And as part of the extra mile, we've been doing UV sanitation. I think we will be having hours of discussion if I will be discuss all the details when it comes to the resilience in terms of dealing with this COVID-19 situation in our hospitality. But basically, these are the initiatives that we've been doing so far. Next that I like to discuss is our vaccination program. Actually, I stumbled upon the post of the National Wages Productivity Commission in their Facebook page with the campaign ang ayaw sa pandemya ay nagpapabakuna with the hashtag pagbakunado produktibo. And I totally agree with that. And I'm happy to say that 88% of our workforce now are fully vaccinated. So I just like to say my thanks to the LGU of Muntinlupa, especially to the Health City Office of Muntinlupa, as mentioned, headed by Dr. Bunyi. So maraming pong salamat for assisting all the frontliners in your area to be fully vaccinated. Some of our employees are just waiting for their second dose. So in the next month or two, we're aiming for 100% vaccination rate for all our employees. So paano po namin ginawa yun? Siyempre, at first, there are some hesitations when it comes to the vaccine. People are worried about the efficacy level of the vaccine. They're very particular with the brand. But what we did the information dissemination. We cascaded all the posters, all the info that we're getting from DOH to all our chat groups in the Viber, in the email. We even created posters in our workplace for them to have this understanding about the vaccine. And in fact, nanguna po yung mga executives namin. The executives became the example. Kami po yung nauna when it comes to the vaccination, and the rest follow. So hopefully by the next month or two, we're aiming for the 100% vaccination. And then lastly, I would like also to acknowledge that we have FOA together with DOLE has a partnership to offer basic occupational safety and health programs for our members. So we've been training safety officer level 2 since May 2021, and we've trained 150 safety officers for all the properties of our members in the Philippine Hotel Owners Association. And we're expecting to train more 100 employees or safety officers to be in their properties. And we really need them right now, especially in the midst of pandemic. FOA also organized webinars and safety protocols in terms of ventilation in the workplace, disaster resilience, and many more. So very active din ng FOA, especially in the time of pandemic. And we're helping all our members to be resilient on this pandemic. Lastly, FOA and our hotels believe that safety is a primary concern of our hotel industry, as we need to make both our guests and staff feel confident that our hotels are safe. So these are our initiatives so far from the start of pandemic last year. And I believe these initiatives are also supporting to their team, Trabahong Sigurado, Negosyong Matatag, Kabuhayang Nagpapatuloy. So with that, thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I hope I was able to impart something important for each and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nigel. Wow, your workplace safety is really amazing, and your extra attention for the safety of your customers are really reassuring. So magbubook na daw kami tomorrow. You are,
by the way, just to promote lang
yes.
din, our Bohol property, we are accepting leisure. So just in case you wanted to have a vacation, go to Bohol, and I would say that our resort in Bohol is very safe.
Very good. So book na yan. Agad. Thank you. So you're indeed an example to the industry. And FOA has been a long-time partner of PDRF. No? So talagang you're in good hands, especially with your executive director, Ms. Lenny Papul. Yeah, may special mention pa. Okay, thank you for those three amazing stories this afternoon. And I know time is running out, but we need to ask them two questions before we let them go. First would be in managing all these businesses, especially for our micro and small medium enterprises. Do you have business continuity plan in place? And if not applicable, or kung meron kayong business continuity plan, did it help you ensure your enterprise to continue delivering products and services to your clients and customers? So I will have each one of you respond to that question. May I call Cherise to respond first?
Yes, actually, business continuity plan is very, very important, regardless if you're micro, small, or medium, or big. And kami, kahit super micro, super na micro kami, pero our BCP is very simple. We just need to adjust and adapt to the situation. And it is possible to do that, to even completely change the business model as we did, as long as the goal, the mission and vision doesn't change. So in our case, our mission, our vision is really to help the marginalized farmers get back on their feet, and to educate and connect the consumers as well back to our food, and to our community in general. And regardless of how we do that, as long as those things are achieved, then that's what we do. So sa ngayon, from cafe, naging mobile market, who knows, maybe we will be totally digital, as Sir JP said, na very important talaga. Sinagot ko nga yun sa isang question. And it's fine. We can adjust. We have to be able to adjust. Kasi kahit malaki ka, if you can't adjust, it's really risky to keep to something that is no longer working.
Thank you, Cheris. Let me hear from JP. I mispronounced your name a while ago. Apologies for that. JP?
It's okay. You know, my name is pronounced PJ, JZ, JP. It's okay with me. It's not a problem. Well, in terms of BCP, definitely we do have a BCP plan. In fact, I was shocked 2 months ago when I was in a meeting together with our HR group. We even had a pandemic plan even before the pandemic happened. So technically it was ready. And in fact, we do have a resiliency committee from the board level to the MANCOM level down to the operations level. So it's really, really important, especially with running a company with 3,000 people plus the subsidiaries and all that. And the continuity, because our business is really into the economy, right? It's the money, it's deposits, it's loans, it's all of that. And definitely the bank has to continue going. What's beautiful is that with having a BCP in place even prior to the pandemic, and everyone is mandated to take a BCP resiliency skill set upgrade every year. We take this exam every year, which is online. We were able to keep the bank running at 100% capacity even during the lockdowns. So that was really, really surprising and very important. And something that I'd like to mention also, you know what, BCP is not something that only large corporates require.
Exactly.
I've learned this the hard way also, because I also have my own small businesses. BCP is something even a micro business you have to think about it. You have to implement something. Definitely.
Thank you, JP. Well said. So with your robust workplace safety, Nigel, I'm sure you have, but let us hear from you as well.
Yeah, definitely. BCP is our top priority, especially on this pandemic. No, but what we did some repurposing of our services as well, just to make sure that the business is afloat. Because if the business will continue, the more people we will help. But of course, safety and security is the most priority for them while we're doing the BCPs.
Thank you, Nigel. So mga kapatid, meron yung mga MSME, mga entrepreneurs natin watching right now. Ayan, narinig ninyo, no business is small enough, no, not to have a business continuity plan. No, so we have a lot of that in our website and the RCG website. So we'll let you know more about that. Okay. So next question is that, very importantly, more than any financial support, capacity building is also very important to our micro and small business. No? So let me ask you if you did, or if you were able to avail of any support from the government, no? And also from the private institution in continuing your business. Let me hear from Cherise again.
Yun. Actually, that is the straight answer is not yet. Pero I know there are programs by the government, even non-government organizations for MSMEs, and it will be very, very helpful for little enterprises like us to have like a portal para malaman namin kung ano yung mga yan. Honestly, syempre pag maliit ka, we tend to do everything by ourselves. So we have super no time to think about other things, but it will be very helpful to have that. And I know there are they are there out there.
Ako,
Yun.
Cherries, kukontakin ka agad ng DTI kasi madami tayong negosyo programs that will help your community, your business partners, particularly the farmers. So take advantage, madami ka matututunan. And in fact, we're featuring some of their programs in our CCAP platform. Yeah. So Sir JP, any assistance? Well, you're from the banking industry. I'm sure madami ka ring mapag-uusapan na support to our MSMEs.
Yes, actually, yeah, that's our main job right now is how to continue supporting and Cherries, pumunta ka lang sa mga DTI negosyo centers, ang dami lang matutulong sa iyo doon. That's one of the best places to go to if you need help. From our end, a lot of borrowing has happened during the time of the pandemic. Unfortunately, syempre, well, not just us, but I can speak, I guess, for the most banks and financial institutions, nagkaroon din ng crunch in terms of credit and how we distribute the borrowings and the lendings. Although I can say dumami ang lending opportunities. So one thing that we did was to help in terms of user experience is padaliin yung pag-apply ng loans. So kesa pumunta ka pa sa amin, mag-submit ng dokumento, just upload everything in our online CCAP, pareho tayo pangalan actually, CCAP platform, and that's it. You can already avail of a loan. As fast as 24 hours, you can already get a loan. And I believe our CCAP will also be introduced in CCAP soon enough, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one way for us to really help the SMEs in that direction.
Thank you, JP. Nigel, any response to that?
Yes, we're able to avail the SBWS of SSS last year, and we're also one of the beneficiaries of Camp 2 under Bayanihan Act 2. Yeah, so we're able to get assistance from the government.
Wow.
And the employees are very thankful. Laking tulong na din sa kanila, especially in this time of pandemic.
Very good to hear that. Unfortunately, ang ganda ng usapan kasi habang nagkukwentuhan tayo, nagkakaroon na tayo ng linkage, So we're really very happy with this kind of discussion and forum that na kapulutan ng aral ng ating micro and small medium enterprises. Ayan. So we have to wrap up. Let me give you a few minutes, a minute of closing remarks, and in your closing remarks, may I ask you to include any thoughts or any ideas or activities that you have that promotes public and private partnership. So on to your closing remarks, Ms. Cherries.
Sorry, I was answering one question. So closing remarks, as uulitin ko lang yung sinabi ko kanina. This is a totally different time for all of us, and what better way to survive than help each other? And this e-forum is one of the things that will help us know how we can help others and how we can call for help as well. It's don't be afraid to call for help. I know that a lot of people are very willing to help, especially the small ones, and the big ones. They also need help once in a while in a different form. So let us really bring back that sense of community and help each other. That's the real gist of what we are doing. And kahit naman, yun nga wag naman sanang lumala. Pero sa mga panahong ito, ang Pilipino, kahit na marami tayong mga agam-agam sa maraming bagay, pero andyan pa rin yung spirit of bayanihan. So yeah, let's help each other. And thank you for
Thank you, Cherries. Well said. JP?
I think for my final message, honestly, I would like to echo our president, Edwin Bautista. He said this in one of his talks, that the MSMEs actually showed us the way. The MSMEs during the pandemic, the resilience and the way they pivoted was actually our model of what we should be doing and how we should be responding. And again, through partnerships like these, dito namin naiintindihan kung paano kami dapat mag-proceed. So I really love having a lot more partnerships. We're very much open for organizations to do partnerships with us. We have platforms that are technically libre na namin binibigay para ma-maximize of the Filipino MSMEs. So please, I think I put my email in the chat. Send me an email and we can talk about and discuss future partnerships that we can do.
Thank you, JP. And Nigel, 88%
For me,
bakunado na, no? So,
yes. But
galing.
of course, I
Go
would
ahead.
encourage pa din, no, even all the MSMEs members natin to have yourself vaccinated. But also maximize din natin yung technology right now, since most of us cannot really meet face-to-face. So please follow the Facebook pages of DOLE, DTI, and other institutions, because it's a big help, you know, when it comes to the information dissemination. And let us not forget we are in the middle of pandemic, so the safety protocols, the minimum safety protocols must be followed at all times. Pero at the end, always remember, COVID ka lang, Pilipino kami, mas mananalo tayo. So thank you for that.
Well said. Thank you, Nigel. And thank you, Cherise, JP, and Nigel. Really very interesting talk. And I hope MSMEs have learned from your experiences and your advocacy today, so that in turn, they can share with the rest of the business community how they have pivoted their businesses as well. So may panahon at may lugar for our innovative MSMEs. This is our platform dedicated to our dear MSMEs. So maraming salamat po. And let me turn you over to Camille and Earl.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Veron, and maraming salamat sa ating tatlong panelists. Talagang nakaka-inspire yung mga naikwento nyo kanina. And maraming salamat din sa panelists ulit sa pag-answer ng questions sa Q&A. I can see they have been answering diligently our questions from our participants.
Very much appreciated. Well, we've enjoyed each other's company for a bit too long this afternoon, but we are coming to a close. To formally conclude the program, we'd like to invite Chairman Apolinar Aure from the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry for his closing remarks. So over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, once again, good afternoon, especially to my colleagues and the hardworking member of the RCG, partners in this MSME Resilience Advocacy Program, who had been acknowledged earlier.
Apologies, Chairman Apolinar. I think we are unable to hear you clearly. Is it possible to bring the mic to maybe closer to?
Well, can you hear me? It's loud already, my voice. Anyway, once again, good afternoon.
Sir, medyo mahina pa din po. Maybe one last attempt at...
A little bit closer pa po, sir. Pwede po.
Closer. Sorry ako rito sa kwarto. Anyway, once again, good afternoon. Oh, narinig nyo na? It's okay?
Slightly better po.
Baka
Yes.
Itong line ko, baka may problem. Anyway, once again, good afternoon, and especially to my colleagues and the hardworking member of the RCG, partners in this MSME Resilience Advocacy and Program, who has been acknowledged earlier, our MSME all over the country, other partners and friends. Thank you for joining us again this afternoon as a united and a major force that hope to institutionalize resilience practices as part of our business sustainability plan. This short program could not capture the struggle we went through the past 5 years, nor can it completely cover the successful story that resulted from this advocacy and program. But this afternoon, our decision and action to bring our initial effort to the next level also seal yet our commitment to rise beyond adversities, especially those that we cannot control through measures, but will also help lessen their adverse impact. We hope that we can sustain build on and share what we have already learned. Along the way, the group has likewise been reinforced by new members and lesson learned. It is unfortunate that it will take a crisis to test the fruit of our labor. In the Philippines, we cannot deny the natural hazard and really part of our DNA as a country because of our location. Nevertheless, we hope that when the time comes, we pass this flying color. On this note, I formally close this afternoon forum. We hope to see you in our coming activities as we gradually move forward a better normal. Please let's stay COVID negative while remaining positive. Thank you and good afternoon to all.
Thank you so much, Chairman Aure. What a very concise but well put remarks. We are looking forward to passing with flying colors as we on through the pandemic and beyond. So we had a jam-packed program, and we hope that this provided a lot of new learnings and insights to all our MSME partners and participants.
Maraming salamat sa pagstay sa mga ating participants. We beg your indulgence just for the last few steps. So you will see the QR code and the link. Help us to improve our services, our events by providing feedback at the link that you see, or just take a quick screenshot for the QR code. And if anyone out there is interested in partnering with us, do send us an email at pdrfcentral@pdrf.org.ph. So again, thank you very, very much for joining us this afternoon. It's always been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure, actually, to co-host with you, Camille.
Pleasure is mine as well. I'm very happy to be here supporting this project. So thank you, everyone. May you stay safe. May the weather improve for everyone here. And please continue taking care.
Maraming salamat din sa ating mga guests and panelists at sa ating mga participants. So ingat po and be safe.
Ingat po lahat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.